111. It says the diagram below shows,
Morning, miss.
yes, good morning. Says it shows a sector OM. Just get my annotator. So OM R to M. Now I'll get into sector just now of a circle with center O. So O is the center of the circle. Radius 12 cm. Sector angle 168 degrees. Good morning, Kareem. Said which was formed using a thin steel of metal. Okay, so the first thing they want us to find is to calculate the perimeter of the sector above made from the thin sheet of metal. Good morning, Crystal. So first and foremost, I know some people would know what a sector is. For those who don't know what a sector is, when you have a circle, it could be a circle or as they give us piece of a circle there. But when you have a circle, all set circles normally have a center. They will either tell you center or they may not tell you center O, but you see a point in the middle and you might see O, right? So O is like the standard letter used to represent the center point in a circle. Now, when a radius is drawn from the center of the circle touching the circumference. Yes, good morning to you. So this is called a radius. So a radius is any line that is drawn from the center of the circle and it touches the circumference. So I could draw another radius here. So now I have two radii. Radii is the plural for radius. And when I have more than one radius in a circle, such as at least two of them, they create sectors. So this piece here, this piece over there, just use a different color. So this is a sector, but this one would be called the minor sector. Why is it the minor sector? Because it's smaller than here. So this one is bigger, so it will be called the major sector. So sometimes they will draw a sector in a circle like this, or sometimes they draw it like piece like this. Good morning, Shania. Good morning, Ariane. So yeah, we are doing some measurements here, and you all want to make sure you know or remember things like a radius, um, sector, and those things. So they could have drawn a sector looking like this as well, which would be the other part of the circle, but they didn't draw it like that. So in other words, a sector is made up of two radii. So it's made up of two radii. Radii is just plural for radius. And an arc. What is an arc? An arc is just a piece of the circle. So the arc in this question, well, this diagram is this piece here. For this particular question, the arc is this. So the arc is just piece of the circle, right? And then again, looking at from the center 0 to here, that is a radius. I know some people know that all the radius in a circle have the same length, right? But for those who don't know, yes, in the same circle, if you know the length of one radius, the other radius will be the same length. So even if they have 10 radii drawn in a circle, once it's in the same circle, they will all have the same exact length. So those things are important to know and also remember. Okay, let me just plug on my I realize my other device. kind of low. So it don't cut off on me here. All right. Yes, so if anybody have any questions, just follow me know. I know a few people subs know there's some people may not have one. So I need you all to understand those few things before I do the question. And as I go through the question, if I see there's something else that some people may not know, I will mention it. Okay, so I'm gonna take off these things from the screen if nobody's writing or you're done have it and stuff like that. I don't see your message. Either yes, good morning. You said you understand so far. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna take off this then. Right. So they are asking us to find the perimeter. Now, some of you may know what perimeter, and then you might be like, how we find a perimeter, but so most people know how to find perimeter in a square where you just add up all the sides, or in a rectangle where you add up all the sides, or in a triangle where you just add up all the sides. It's the same thing we have to do, but as I said before, from zero or the center of the circle, because it said the circle center is zero. So once you know that's the center, any line drawn there touching the circle is a radius. So since this radius here is 12, the other radius, which is from O to M, will be the same length. So the only thing we need to figure out now is the arc. How long is the arc? Once we figure out that, we could find a perimeter. Now, for those of you who did certain things in measurements and let me ask, I don't think they have it on the screen. What is the formula for length of an arc? So there should be at least two persons in here so to know that, assuming that you have been revising. So yes, what is, or if anybody else know it from otherwise, yeah, but what is the formula for length of an arc? Okay, right, so not too close. I just write it in short as LOA, length of arc. Hmm, LOE. So I'm not seeing nothing coming through my chat. When I wonder why. So you might say, Miss every class is saying this, but how to say it? Well, that's what people who learn this with me at least, right? Because I know some of you didn't. The people who learn this with me, everything you learn in maths, you don't want to forget. How can you avoid forgetting? Revise the stuff. Okay, so it is theta over 360 multiplied by, I almost lost space. Um, is length, so it's the, what you call this thing? The circumference of a circle formula. So it could either be diameter times pi or 2 radius pi. That's a formula for length of an arc. I believe this one is on the past paper, I think, in the formula list. But yes. So theta is always the angle within the sector. So for this question, theta would be 168. Again, when you deal with length of an arc, it is the angle within the sector. The reason why I'm saying that, because sometimes in possible questions, they might give you this angle here. Sometimes they'll give you that one instead, and then some students will think that's the angle. No, that angle, if they give you that outer angle, that is not for the inner sector. Yes, now. Let me just find it. So this angle here is 192. Why? Because these two angles must add up to 360. They make a full circle. So if they give you this outside angle, because I've seen that before and they don't give you the inner angle, don't put theta. This is not theta for this sector. Mm-mm. This is theta for the other sector that they didn't draw. So the theta that you need is always the one that's within the circle. Sorry, trying to erase this stuff, but like you don't want to erase, boy. Marking up this crayon kind of thing. Yes. So theta is the angle within the sector, within the two radii and the arc for the sector that you are dealing with. So theta is going to be 168 over 360, which is the total amount of degrees at that point, or in a circle, generally speaking. And multiply by 2 radius pi. So 2, the radius is 12. The set to use pi is 22 over 7. Just I'll put back this. So multiply by 22 over 7. Now, once you have this, you could then head over to your calculator and let your calculator do the rest of work for you. Oh my. So let me see how I can put this here. I'll take off this top piece. Right. So 168, if you have a calculator, you could try to divide it by 360, multiply by 2, multiply by 12, multiply by 22, divided by 7. Okay, let me double check that with my real scientific calculator. So 168 divided by 60 by 2 by 12 by 22 by 7. Yeah. Actually, I'm getting, let me just make sure I put it correct. Yeah. 160 divided by 361 by 2 by 12 by 20. On my calculator, I'm getting 35.2. That's it.
But I got 35.2.
Yeah, I'm getting that on my calculator. Well, other calculators, so that's weird. Like, why is Google Scientific giving me one thing? Then this calculator, well, I honestly, I have more confidence in my real scientific calculator than Google Scientific because I know Google Scientific does do some wonders sometimes. Okay, let me try it another way, Google Scientific, and see if I'll get it correct. So I'm going to bracket off something. So 168 divided by 360 close bracket. So apparently I'm doing this so Google Scientific will know what's in
This
bracket.
one I get it again. It's in a fraction 2 as 176 over 5. And when you think for the get the decimal, you're getting 35.2.
Okay. Yeah, well, it will have a fraction in it. Once answer have a decimal, that's a fraction. See if I'll get it. Yeah, so Google Scientific, apparently you have to put certain things in brackets because the calculator needs help. I don't have to do that in my actual scientific. I just put everything on the calculator so we can find. But apparently with Google Scientific, if you put in a fraction, you have to put it in brackets. Now, if you are using other scientific calculators and you got what I had on the screen before, you might have to put your fractions in brackets to get it correct. Okay, any questions thus far? We're not finished yet, but any questions thus far? Okay, so that was the length of the arc. So the radius was in centimeters, so the length of the arc will also be in centimeters. But we're not finished with the question, as I said, because they want the perimeter. So we know that this here is 32, not 32, 35.2 centimeters. Is there anybody writing down this? Because I'm going to clear it in 10 seconds. If nobody in it's here writing. Okay, so I am going to clear this. Um, right, so perimeter, when they ask you to find the perimeter of a shape, sometimes they tell you find the circumference. Circumference, normally you would see circumference in a circle, right? But since it's part of a circle, they might see circumference or uh, yeah, you might see circumference or perimeter. They're the same thing. It just means to add up all the sides. Now it's difficult to add up all the sides in a circle. That's why I don't know what you call it. Circumference normally in a circle. But sometimes they'll tell you find the perimeter of a circle too, you know. They tell you find the perimeter, it means find the circle. But I'm just saying that perimeter and circumference are the same thing. It just means you add in all the sides or the lengths, etc. So to find the perimeter of this arc, we will add the two radii. Remember, all the radius are the same length. So that'll be 12. Add, oh my, 12 add 12, add 35.2. Why put in centimeters there? I don't need to put no centimeters here yet, at least. So heading back to the calculator, that is 12 add 12 add 35.2. So I am getting for the perimeter, that should be correct here pretty much. 59.2 centimeters. I don't think they set it wrongly to anything, but did they set it wrong anything here, boy? No see nothing about wrong then nowhere. Okay, so any questions, Shania, Salisha, Crystal, Kareem?
No, miss, I good.
Okay, Laverne, Ariana, Adisha.
Miss, I good.
Okay. No, all right. Is there anybody writing? Now, I may need some of these things for the next question. Not the next one, the next part of the same question to be more specific. No, okay, so I will take off. You are good. All right. So I'll take off this. Um, I could take off this. I may need a perimeter, not sure yet.